Hey, John. Hi, Brian. How you guys doing? As usual, a lump of silicon would be better. You're that would be awful. We're not that evil to put silicon in a good watch. Oh my God. The, the Grinch. Oh, good, good, good. Thanks, Brian. God, his hat is getting all beat up. I would put on my beanie that I got with it, but that beanie is very warm, and I sort of I get burned up. Hi, neighbor. Hi, Philip. How you guys doing? Hi, Big Sal. Good to see you. Well, I tell you, hi, Caesar. Oh boy, I tell you, tomorrow is Christmas Eve. Monday is Christmas. Hmm. Hey, Justin. Goldfinger. Hello. Just Tom. I thought it was Tom, but it's just Tom. Hi, Dom. Merry Christmas to all. Where's my? See if I can find my Santa Claus. Well, see if I can find it here. Hang on. There we go. Okay. Yeah. Oh, Mr. Gumby, how you doing, Graham? Okay, guys. Hi, Dominic. Merry Christmas to you too. Um, let's let's get started on this. Is that it's a a plethora of candidates for who deserves coal in their stocking. Now, I've got somebody an idea in mind, but I don't want to say it until I hear from you guys. So, what watch companies this year sort of like, nah, they didn't do such a hot job? Yeah. Richard Mille. Yeah, it's probably that sounds like a good choice. What happened to him? Hi, Rancher. Merry Christmas to you too. This is, by the way, this is Rancher's topic. He was the one. Rancher always provides me with these great topics. I'll be bugging him one for this afternoon too. Um, okay, Richard Mille. Oh yeah, why Richard Mille? I, I have an idea, but I'd like to hear it from you, Philip. Why he deserves a lump of coal? To me, he deserved one a long time ago, even when they were making money hand over fist. But that's another story. Hi, Truman. You got a Christmas tree. Very cool. Okay. I think I don't know. I think finally somebody realized that what Milne had wasn't all that, at least movement wise. Oh, it's all marketing. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's something, it's really funny about marketing. The the whole marketing enterprise is like really necessary. And I think I can see why. There's and they got to spend a lot of money on marketing in order to pay for the watches they make that are usually between 6 and 10 times what the manufacturing costs are. So, I mean, if you're going to have that much of a for your more expensive watches, Whereas your less expensive watches, usually you don't have as much advertising other than the fact that they're, hey, those are a good buy, something like that. Give you mil specs. Hey, Caesar, I saw a company that starts with an R and finishes with an X. Well, I don't know. Uh, you know, they appeal, we'll say it. Dare we say the word Rolex? Rolex has an appeal to a certain very large segment of watch collectors. They love Rolexes. Rolex, in my book, are the good guys because they had a choice of having silicon or keeping with their parachrome hairspring, which uses transitional metals. And so, as long as they do that, they're okay in my book. I know they did come out with a 1904, some watch like that, and they put for a guys, and they put a silicon hairspring on that. I think here's the great irony that we're living with. All right, as a hobby, we we have chosen mechanical watches. Okay, they never were as good as quartz watches as far as accuracy is concerned, and they don't give you the kind of information you can get from a smart watch, which will do everything from your regulate your heart to walk your dog. Uh, these watches are mechanical watches with mechanical, well, metal hairsprings made of transitional metals. They aren't as good, but they can be made better with hairsprings that are non-magnetic, and that's the big issue. That's the big prize with silicon, and also too not being affected in by heat and cold. Yes, yes, and yes. Those will win every time. Solar quartz, and it'll beat those with the silicon hairspring as far as timekeeping is concerned. So what I would rather see, and I would rather have, is like a Moser that has a silicon hairspring. Not it doesn't have a silicon hairspring. I'm sorry. Moser has a Strassmann hairspring made of niobium and titanium plus some other, probably secret stuff they put in there. The same thing with the parachrome hairspring. They're made of niobium and zirconium plus some other stuff. But I would much rather have that than have go out. I'll get a Patek Philippe because it keeps good time. Are you kidding me? If I want something that keeps really good time, I'll go out and get an Apple Watch that I can hook into an atomic clock somewhere, and it'll keep perfect time. I think the reason that the whole concept of high horology came about is because they were getting stomped, and part of it was, well, we're using traditional this and that and craftsmanship and blah 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 blah. Uh, I think you take a hunk out of that when you have a watch that you can't regulate outside of adjusting the weights or something on the balance wheel. I don't mean to rant on that. What I'm really saying is that I can't put a lump of coal in Rolex's stocking because for the most part they have they made a really good hairspring out of transitional metals, and they're doing what Rolex does that all of their fans love. Okay. Are they like, oh boy, they're going to be the high horology? I don't think so, but they're not trying to be. That's not, nor I don't think the collectors are that. They want a good guys kind of watch, and that's what they're getting. So I've got no beef with them. What, they make 1.5 million the things a year? So anyway, enough of the rant. Let's hear some more Coles for stockings. Caesar, FPJ for being making headlines and not for the good reasons. Yeah, FP Jorn, you got to separate the watchmaker from the product, and in a sense, the personality of it. There are more people who just cannot stand FP Jorn. All right. I'm not one of them. My interaction with him couldn't have been better. Here's some Rudy Poo guy comes up with his resonance, and he takes a look at it and then whips out his loop and spends a bunch of time, and I'm sitting there, worrying that, oh my God, he's going to come out and say, I'm afraid this is a fake. He didn't. He says, this is a great one. And I thought, well, anybody who says that about any of my watches is okay with me. maybe they have issues with other people. So I can't put a lump of coal in his. They opened up a new boutique in London this year, and he opened up a restaurant. I don't know, what that has to do with the price of rice in China, but it's like, okay, Rancher. They were fined 100 million by the French recently. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa! Hang on a second. I'd say a company. Okay. Um, Mill, they agreed. Big Sal agreed to give us mill sex. FPJ, okay. Rancher, they were fined 100 million by the French recently. Who was fined 100 million by the French? I mean, that was they got their lump of coal if they were fined 100 million. Dominic, I have seen a plant uh, tour for Richard Mille, and it's quite impressive. Okay, so maybe they don't deserve that. Okay. HRM, JLC deserves some coal. They continue to up their prices, and they haven't upgraded most of their model. Something, HRM, as much as I like Jaeger-LeCoultre, and I do, and this must be a call by Richemont and not by Jaeger-LeCoultre. But getting rid of their geophysic line, those were the ones with the coolest horology and at a halfway decent price, or at a fairly decent price as far as in this hobby goes. So I agree with you on that. Let's get back to being JLC. The same thing is true. I was talking to a guy the other day, and I said to him, I said, I wish that Swatch, who owns Breguet, would let Breguet be Breguet, and take your silicon and basically shove it, and let them do some things that they can do. I don't know. I got That's me, and I realize that keep have I want accurate time, and so I'm gonna I'm gonna put a hacking in there, a stop second. It's gonna come wham down on my balance wheel. I don't want that. I really don't, because I'm not timing. Okay, man, we're going over the top. Let's synchronize our watches. No, we'd all do it with a smartwatch that would tell us when it was time to go over the top. I don't know if they're still doing that. I hope not. Good morning, Nate Dog. How you doing? Hey, just Tom. Let's see. Rolex must have a longer naughty nice list than Santa. Yeah, they probably do. I call Rolex the Porsche of watches. They are luxurious, well built, and a classic design. I don't know. I see them more sort of a sort of a Ford truck. They have the Ford 500, I think, is the most popular vehicle in America, and it's a good, solid truck. That's how I see Rolex. I, I don't hold my breath for any innovations from Rolex, and that's one thing that Ford has finally gotten around to. Okay, there is nothing wrong with coal, a source of energy. Because all right, Truman, it's a coal. I had a great aunt, or my wife's great aunt, actually, who lived in her husband. This is back a long time ago, around the turn of the century, and they had a place. He worked for the railroad, and she was saying, "Oh, he had it. We had it made." They lived in a cold water apartment that the railroad companies let them live in, probably charge them for it. But she said, it was great because they let us pick up the coal off the tracks without charging us for it. I thought, oh boy, coal. Yeah, I got to keep the source of energy, the source of pollution. Anyway, enough of that. Okay. Any brand that has boutique only models. Geez. Now that's sort of an interesting proposition. They're going that way more and more. I can see why, and here's why. It's taken a while for a lot of businesses to realize that people use online services. If some guy in Squash Dog, Mississippi wants a watch, he can get any watch in the world he wants as long as he has an internet connection. So here you have all of these companies that get FP Journe or one of these other ones, and they'll get a big discount for it, and they'll go online and they'll advertise it, and they'll be making the profit that FP Journe thinks they should be making. Okay. So they open up boutiques and have that as the only source. If they may someday have an online version of it, especially if business starts sagging, because if they have their own boutiques, the boutiques are not in competition with the the home businesses online if they have that. Whereas a lot of companies, you take, for example, Omega, they came out with their online stuff. First thing you do, they got a big wall. Here's where you can buy yours at your local store. But if you don't have one available, we have it here for you. Now, like I said, a guy down in Squash Dog, he can make the same order that somebody who lives in New York City or Los Angeles can make. So anyway, I maybe it's because I like FP Journe so much that I don't mind what they do, or I don't mind what Francois does either. Oh, really? Okay, Dominic. Rolex was fined for not allowing AD online sales in Europe. Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Okay, for sporting online sales. Well, that's sort of interesting. uh I don't know. I don't know why they would do that. It's like the richest guys in the world, I guess, is Jeff Bezos. I guess he got divorced, and his wife got billions and he got billions, but they got free of each other, and nobody complained too much. It didn't seem online. What surprised me is that some companies, you take, for example, Sears Roebuck and Company. It's an American company that from the 19th century, in the 1800s, they had catalogs going out all over the United States. And that's when, that the fastest form of transportation was the train. But did they, instead of converting over to online, they mostly went out of business. It was like, Was somebody asleep at the wheel? And so I don't know, the French government, I see what they're trying to do. They say, well, it surprises me because FP Journe is French. he's very he's very French. Sacre bleu. What have they done? Okay, let's see what else you got. Who's getting Breitling for ruining the urban, the oh, it's not urban, it's Universal Geneve. Yeah, some some people thought that they deserved a sort of a something extra in their stocking, a good something good instead of something bad. Rancher. Oh my God. Hi Nizar, how you doing, man? Hey GT. Lime should get a lump of coal in their stocking for doubling their price in the last 4 years. Yeah, a couple things happened this last year. There was some really crazy, crazy high prices that came tumbling down, and uh, some people were shocked. Look at the FP Journe's prices have fallen drastically, and I looked at that. I thought, well, let's see. Now my FP Journe is only worth 250% of what I paid for it. Gee, the horror of it all. I, you know, I think we got to look at trends, and they're important. I that's why if to me as a collector, I don't see anything I do as an investment. Uh, eh, I what I think it's like collecting good art. If you collect art you like, you'll do great no matter what. And usually people who collect art they like also know about art and are the best investors you can find. One of the strangest examples is oh, what's his face? The guy who did pop art, Warhol, Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol was always broke because he would take his money and he would buy stuff. He wouldn't pay his taxes, so he got in trouble with that. But his taste was so spot on that so when Andy went to meet his meet his maker, they took all of Andy's stuff and sold it, and it was worth far more than he paid for it. So the tax people got paid off. All of his debtors got paid off. Everybody got paid off, and there was some money left. And I guess whoever inherited his wealth got it. But it was like he knew good stuff for whatever else to say. By the way, for those of you who are interested, and I know a lot of you are, one of Andy Warhol, what he first did, he used to do the table setting drawings for Emily Post etiquette books. that was, I thought that was interesting. At one time, I was for really research reasons, I was reading all these etiquette books, and I came across this picture. It was Andrew Warhol. So anyway, that's another story. I don't want to get off track here. Let's see. Bimetal balance wheels. Okay, wait a minute. And men who wore rouge, silk stockings, and wigs. Who are you talking to, Rancher? Let's go get some. Let's go get some and dress up. Oh, neither. Let's see. What about Nomos in-house hairspring? Uh, I don't know about that, Nizar. Have they made their own in-house hairspring? But the, are they're using transitional metals, as far as I know. Okay, AP must be on the naughty list for those Marvel watches. I agree, just Tom. Tom, that is a big lump of coal. I I don't know. Maybe there's some people who says, "Oh God, I'd love to have an Audemars Piguet, except for one thing, they don't have a superhero on it." I don't know. Okay, Nate, Doug, no coal, but Watchfinder is on my nice list for underpricing a white gold IWC at gold weight value just in time for me to snag it. No coal for them. Okay, Rolex got $100 million fine for not allowing online sales. In other words, they had to dip into their petty cash to pay it. Those guys make a lot of money. It's like if you fine a company $100 million for not doing what you want in your country and selling watches in France, Rolex watches in France, they made um, let's say 80 million. Suddenly it's not worth it to have them in France at all. And that's, you don't want to do that. But I don't know. I mean, it's like retailers, you know, where retailers can really help the bottom line of a watchmaker. Uh, yeah, that makes sense. But on the other hand, if your retailer is taking away from your bottom line or your profit picture, you do something else. And I see no problem with that. Um, what Larique has been doing, we couldn't afford it one way, so we figured out another way. And that's all. I mean, that's going to happen in business, and the French government can sue everybody they want. But, I mean, business is business. Business is not the sort of the kind of things where you have people complaining about something more efficient putting in, like I do about hairsprings. It's about efficiency and profit and getting things done in business. And so I don't know. I think they got to be careful about certain things, and I think that's one of them, because online marketing. Okay, Nate, it was on the IW4 2301 dress watch. Made a killing. Dominic, uh, Rancher bimetal balance wheels were quite popular for 200 years. Wait a minute. I like the idea of wigs and silk stockings. Okay. Other than uh, finding Rolex 100 million pounds, the French use euros, not pounds. You're thinking of the British. They probably did it too. What has the French done? I'll tell you, maybe that would be something, because there are some French watchmakers that are really, really good. And I would love to see the French. Well, we'll fix you. We'll make a French watch that's better than a Rolex and more popular. That would fix them. Okay, Philip, what's up? Rolex bought Boucher, so every Cartier and other brands sold Rolex makes a profit. Ah, okay. Solar music. All right. How do you know what's going on with Swatch Group brands such as Omega, Glasuda Original, in terms of movements? They're using ETA solar music. One of the things I do know is that if you look at the specs on their watches now, you find out that they're using silicone hairsprings. That's all. It's not rocket science. I'm not capable of that. Dominic, I would aim, if I were you, I would name it directly at Rancher. Okay, Rancher, look out. Here comes Dominic. Go get him, Dominic. Uh, okay, no food fights. Oh, Graham, let's see. France was the first country to find Rolex. Which other country may follow that example? Man, I don't know. There's you have people who are, I guess all of us are to some extent, we're addicted to one type of watch or another, and our sort of type of watch. And I don't know. I just is that like because a person wants to make money from your product and you're making more money. I don't know. I just don't see that as, something that is for the government to say, well, you have to let everybody involved in it. No, not really. I mean, if you're going to set up, I mean, if you're only going to have a Rolex online, you make the watches, you sell the watches. If that's the best way to sell them, what's the problem? That's just the way I see it. Like I said, I got, I don't want to put you know, some watchmaker in a wee village in France out of business. I don't. But on the other hand, I don't know. It's hard to know. Okay. GPHG for keeping Lurique from getting the award. You bet. I agree. That is true. We was robbed. Oh, wait a minute. That wasn't their fault this year. That was last year. 2023, we didn't have the watch ready in time. That's how come we did. You got to enter to win. We didn't even enter. Next year, we'll be all set. The Rolex French story rotates around the models uh, which weren't available through an AD. Okay. Good point. Good to know. Oh, bud. The next fine for Rolex will come from the European Union. Oh, boy. Poor Rolex. All they're trying to do is make and sell watches. This poor little French watch company. Okay. More on Rolex fine. Rolex dropped an AD and the AD sued Rolex. The fine resulted. Ah, thank you, Dom. That's good to know. Flying time. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I gotta run, guys. Um, listen, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of you. Hello, VW Westphalia Synchro. Good. Oh, you got to see a Lurique in London. How cool. Those, yeah, they are amazing, aren't they? Hey, Howard, how you doing? EU trade and antitrust regulations are extraordinarily complex, even for companies the size of Rolex. Well put. Okay, guys, listen. Yes, happy whatever you celebrate. If you're around at 4 o'clock today, 4 o'clock New York time, if you're doing something else, enjoy it. Until we meet again, take care and happy holidays, whatever they are.